Okay, so I'd like to call our meeting to order. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Pledge of Allegiance by Council Member, Commissioner, I'm sorry, I upgraded you. Commissioner, Mathel, I called you.
Oh, thank you.
Anyway.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Do we have any public comments?
I have none.
Perfect, thank you. All right, I am ready for presentations. And that first one up is from our ACT Liaison. Are they ready? Okay. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
Hello, my name's Evan Gardner, and it's my pleasure to be here presenting Lake Forest Advisory Committee for Teens. I'm here to update the Community Services Commission about what ACT has been working on. For the month of February, we have been working on a canned food drive at the sports park, and all the items collected will be going towards the Second Harvest Food Bank of Orange County. And our food drive will go till the end of March, and after our food drive, in April, we will be doing a service event working at the food bank on Saturday, April 4th. And then during the month of March, we will be assisting with the Pet Expo. The Pet Expo is one of the biggest events held at the sports park. Last year, we had almost 2,000 people attend the event. Also, we will be helping out at our upcoming Bunny Blast event. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you at our upcoming Lake Forest events.
Well, thank you very much. You
Thank you.
guys are busy giving back to the community. Thank you for that. Okay, anybody have any questions or anything? No, we're good. We're good. We're good. Thank you. Okay, next is our Public Works update.
Included in your meeting package, I'd like to bring your attention to a few capital improvement projects recently completed or currently under construction. Portola Park construction continues with the contractor working on the site concrete and other improvements. The completion of the park is anticipated to be in the summer of 2020. The neighborhood park renovations for Cherry Park, the construction contract is scheduled to be awarded at the March 17th City Council meeting, and the project is anticipated to be completed later this year. The neighborhood park renovations, Darren, Montberry, and Pebble Creek Parks is currently being advertised for bid with the opening scheduled for May. This project is also anticipated to be completed toward the end of the year. Park shade structures. The shade structure for Peachwood Park is anticipated to be completed in the second quarter of 2020. The contractor is working with the building department regarding the new park shade structure permit. Once the permit is issued, work can begin. A fourth phase of the shade structure project will repair existing shade fabrics at the Lake Forest Sports Park. This concludes my update, and I will be happy to answer any questions.
We're really ripping through it tonight. Okay, does anyone have any questions for? Okay, please go ahead.
Just making sure the little red light's on here, so. Reading the, I'm going to say novella that you put out, which is very impressive as to the amount of work and projects. Just a couple of general questions. With the traffic signal upgrades, with the, again, ending or should be completed in first quarter, you've got a couple of items on there. Is that realistic from your standpoint?
It may run a little bit into the second quarter. Our contractor's trying to procure some of the equipment, and really it depends on how quickly they can procure the equipment. It's painting of signal heads, replacement of the illuminated signs, putting in timing equipment upgrades. So it's really dependent on how quickly they can procure the equipment.
Okay. Then on the I-5 interchange signs, there was a comment in there, we are at the bidding process. I thought we already were past that and actually, doing stuff.
We were going to be the bidding process, but it ended up that several of the utilities, we did some potholing in advance of putting the work together, rather than have the contractor get out there and have him responsible for the potholing. There were some Cox utility lines and an SCE line that were in conflict. So we decided to delay the bid and request that those utilities relocate in advance of the contractor mobilizing, so we didn't incur delay costs of the contractor having to wait for the utilities.
and that wasn't determined before the whole thing started?
No, we did not know where the utilities were in the exact locations of where we were going to put the posts, and until we finished the design and potholed.
Okay, interesting. Looks kind of like I hate to say it, the government's way of doing construction. The OCTA traffic synchronization project, most of it is defined as in 2-year operations and maintenance phase. In layman's terms?
With those projects, we receive a grant from OCTA, and they pay for the majority of it. The city's responsibility normally is providing in-kind services, doing the operations and maintenance of the signals. So that's where we have to record what we're doing and provide that back up to OCTA to cover our portion of the project.
So in other words, could you say awaiting funding as part of it?
The funding, the project's complete, and basically we're showing that we're doing the operations and maintenance as our part of the funding.
Okay.
It's already been completed. So these projects haven't closed out. They still stay open through that operation and maintenance period.
Okay.
And then we close out at the end of the 2 years.
Got it, makes sense. Kind of a dual question, maybe for both yourself and our director. Peachwood Park, which is done, have we gotten any feedback from that? Are people happy, not happy?
I haven't had any personal feedback. Community Services might have had.
People are happy with the renovations that were completed. I think there was a misunderstanding in the sense that you might recall that we had Tier 1 and Tier 2 renovations at each
Yeah.
of the facilities. The city council provided sufficient funding to complete Tier 1 at
Tier
each
1,
facility.
right.
So I only got, I think, one phone call asking about Tier 2 because they believed that there were additional renovations that were going to be made.
Okay, which is good. Last question, Doug, I've asked this to you before. The area when you come down El Toro from the intersection of Santa Margarita, Portola, going down past Normandale and further down on the right side, it looks like you have nothing but dead timber there. And my question that I'd asked you before, and the question is the same, is that a result of the boring beetle, or is it something that is seasonal? Because some trees, to include some we have on our own property, during the winter and early spring, look like they died 2 years ago.
I'm not sure I can follow up on that.
Would you mind?
No problem.
Would appreciate an answer on that. Thank you.
And was that it?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay.
I have a comment of Portola Park. Is there any more detail on the park itself? I'm trying to recall the layout on that park. If it was presented to us, I don't recall, including the dog park and volleyball court, pickleball court.
There is a parking lot, restroom. I believe it's 6 pickleball courts.
Is it 6? Okay.
Three pickleball
3?
courts. A sand volleyball court, and on the lower tier, a dog park for both large and small dogs.
And did you say playground?
And a
Playground.
playground.
And it's due to be completed this summer.
Yes.
And the way it was presented, the city would be responsible for that park? Was it granted to the city?
The
Rather
land
than-
was granted to the city as part of the Portola development. It is going to be a city park and city-maintained park.
I see. Okay. I'm anxious to kind of personally view that park when it's almost completed.
I'm sure we can arrange a
But
tour
it
at some
might be,
point for the
it's our most
commission.
recent park. It's been a while since we've had a new park. So it could be something I wouldn't mind visiting, probably closer to what, midsummer? Is that what you're anticipating?
Yes.
All right, very good, thank you.
Is that it? I wanted to, if I could comment also on Peachwood to back up. I've lived 26 years off of Peachwood and Palmwood, and I've seen all the stage 1, stage 2, and I kind of sometimes jog around there at the last part of my run. Outstanding. I've actually seen day by day seen the improvements, so hats off to Peachwood Park. It was always okay. It was never really bad, but all the improvements are really nice. I see more people using the park, a lot of birthday parties. So, nice job on Peachwood.
Thank you.
Yeah, just again, obviously, I didn't realize you did the synchronization on El Toro, but love that, and just hope we see it again on Lake Forest and Bake, too.
I believe
Cut
Lake
across.
Forest is the one that's coming up this
Next.
year.
Any plans for Baker? No.
I don't know. I know
Okay.
Lake
'Cause Bake-
Forest is the one that
yeah.
needed synchronization, and we applied for that for this current.
Because Bake also crosses over into Irvine, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
so that's probably a little trickier. Right, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, my turn. Sorry, I was leaving me for last. Oh. Okay, so, I know this is a big laundry list you guys take care of, but don't you also take care of maintenance at, like, the sports park and the buildings?
Yes, we
Does
do.
that fall under you guys? Okay. So I've brought this up, but I'm gonna bring it up again, that, our lighting at the sports park, a lot of things aren't working. I know you just replaced the lights in the gym, but in some of the rooms, like, since January, I mentioned, and you guys I know it's on the list, but I'm just saying, since January, I mentioned that the lights that are in, I'm gonna call it, is it the dance area? Room B? Yes. Okay. Studio B, sorry. Has been blinking, stops, blinking, which, when you're in there, it's a little disruptive when you're taking a class. The other night, we had a meeting in there, and it was in the evening, and it was even worse, because basically, there's really no light for those fixtures that are up there on the wall.
I will bring it up with our maintenance department.
Thank you.
Can't you just unscrew it?
No, it's one of those long, it's up high, and it's a long tube-like, I guess, is it a?
I'm not
He's
sure.
gonna look into
I
it.
will have our maintenance department check into it.
Yeah, thank you, and I know you guys have been awesome, you've had it on the list, but I'm saying, it's been since January, and it might have been on the list before January.
Well, it's obvious it's on the wrong list.
Oh, it's on the wrong list, is what Victor says.
I'll
So
make
maybe
sure it
we'll
gets
get
on the right list.
right list. Okay, so, thank you, and I know, there's some other lighting issues at Sports Park, which I think you're working on, but
I will remind maintenance about that and get a schedule for the next time.
thank you. Oh, that's so nice of you. Okay, so, go home and feed the dogs.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. All right, so what is, getting to my agenda, I've got too many things going on right this second. Okay. Well, it's here somewhere. Attachment, okay. Oh, turn the page wrong. Consent calendar. Minutes. So Carol, I'm sorry to say on the minutes, we've got January 16th and then February 5th. Unless maybe I got a bad batch.
No.
No? Okay. So that's one correction.
The originals that I signed, are they correct?
No. Okay, yeah, it's, I know how these things go. So has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? Are there any other corrections or changes other than the ones I've already mentioned?
Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Under commissioner comments, and I can bring the notes if that's needed, I included in those comments that I had attended both the senior advisory board meeting that month and the open house on January 11th, and neither of those were included in the comments. So if you could include those, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else have any items to do?
I'll move to approve them.
All right. Second. Okay, wait, okay. One of you guys second. Okay, all right. All in favor? Oh, we got a vote. Yep. I'm voting. Am I? Oh, Carol's got to set it up.
What is this? Freedom. Help.
Are we good?
Victor, what do you do here? Just,
I don't know, I can't have the right screen, so.
I hit vote. But then. Yeah.
Everybody's voting?
No,
I haven't voted yet.
none of us have
I'm
voted.
trying to figure out.
go get the cheat sheet.
I'm not getting the screen to vote. Oh, here we go.
Okay, what did you do?
I didn't do anything.
Okay. Oh, wait, what did I do? Hit vote? I hit vote, but then what? I don't think we have the right thing. That's what mine-
I'm still on the agenda.
Oh, okay, good. This is so much fun, everyone.
I thought there would be a voting screen.
Well, yeah, there is. Back out of it.
All right. I've got 5 people voting yes. Is that, and then,
Oh, that's fine.
is that correct?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay. Loretta,
Yes?
Vice Chair Smith,
Yes,
Commissioner Rosenberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Maxwell. Yes. And Commissioner Porter.
I'm going to say that passed unanimously. Okay, good. All right, now we're annual joint meeting between city council and city commissions.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. This item pertains to the joint commission and city council meeting that's coming up on March 17th at the clubhouse. And the meeting begins at 5:30 p.m. This may be a good time to announce that dinner will actually be served at 5 o'clock p.m. If you haven't already received the invitation, you'll be receiving that. So 5 o'clock p.m. is the day you want to, or the hour you want to mark on your calendar. So on to the important part of this agenda item. Every year, the various commissions of the city provide a report to the city council. And in past years, historically, the report has been on past achievements from the previous year. This year, the city council's asked that the report focus on future goals of the commissions. With that in mind, if you got a chance to read the agenda report, I tried to provide a little context as to where the city's going with respect to the budget and the future. And the point that I was making in the report is that whereas in the past the city has really been fueled by development and growth, the city is now moving closer towards becoming a maintenance city. And a maintenance city is one in which we generally have to preserve the infrastructure that we have and the recreational assets that we currently have and maintain the same service level as we move through the future. Most people here will probably remember that after probably 20 years of planning, With the housing developments, the city collected development fees, and the city purchased the Sports Park and Recreation Center for $80 million in cash. We recently purchased the Civic Center for $73 million in cash. That's where all of those development fees went. And now we're, I believe, at the tail end of the development with the Nicase development site. And the Nicase site is expected to have, I believe it's no more than 900 homes, 5 distinct neighborhoods. We're getting 5 parks. The parks will be maintained by the homeowners association. They will be open to the public. And the project's expected to generate $25 million in development fees. Most of that will probably go towards other infrastructure. It's likely that it's not going to go towards the construction of new parks or the purchase of new amenities. So with that in mind, the city is transitioning to becoming a maintenance city. We currently have 31 parks. Portola Park will be number 31. And we just talked about some of the other assets we have. With the new Civic Center, we now have a standalone senior center. We have a community center, a conference center, some really wonderful amenities for our residents. And with that in mind, I gave some sample goals. They're really your goals. They're not my goals, so I don't want to put my thumb on the scale. But I gave some sample goals that you may be interested in. The presentation on the 17th is 5 to 7 minutes. Each commission will get no more than 15 minutes, which is total. That includes question and answers and any discussion. So we're recommending that the commissioners limit the presentations to 5 to 7 minutes. And with that, I'll turn you loose for any questions you may have. And at this time, we would request that the commission discuss your goals for next year, reach a consensus, and this will become the basis of the chair's report on the 17th. And with that, I'll turn it over to the commission.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Wasserman, is coming up in 2021, that's the 30th anniversary of the city, correct, 1991? Yeah, is that right? 30 years, yeah?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talking about being a growing city now, we were a baby for a while. So when you say, sorry, so when you say maintenance, we're going to be kind of, what's the word, built out, and now we're just maintaining the beauty and all the great things about Lake Forest. Is that basically what you mean?
That is correct. I don't expect to get more parks. Whispering Hills is still on the books. We'll see what happens with that. I don't expect to see more parks. I don't believe that there's a lot of vacant land that's left to develop new neighborhoods. That's correct.
Oh, excuse me, that was my question. Are we maxed out on housing after Nicase?
After Nicase, I believe we are. I've
Because-
not heard of anything else being discussed or anything else in the proposed.
Yeah, because I live at, as I mentioned, Peachwood earlier. There's 75, 80 homes going up at the dead end of Peachwood, and then over the
Yes.
hill is, one is the Pinnacle, one's the Summit. So right there, that's almost 600 homes, so, in Nicase. So I was just wondering if there's no more land, or they plan on converting commercial to residential as it has happened in the past?
I've not heard any discussion
Yeah,
to do that.
okay. Okay, so, all right, thank you. Okay, Jim, go ahead.
Kind of like trying to approach what has to come down to a sniper shot with a machine gun. I think, again, it's more of a personal comment, having seen some things in the past and seen some things in the present, that allowing an hour for this entire endeavor for all three now, as opposed to 2 commissions, et cetera, is you've got really one chance to get it right. It's not, oh, I thought about that, and can we get back later and discuss it, as in the past there were more opportunities, which I'm sorry to see that, we don't have here. But the point that Commissioner Matzel brings up, the 30-year anniversary, knowing what the other 20 and 25-year anniversaries have cost, Is that something, especially having sat through the Director of Finance's presentation last night at the council meeting on risks and et cetera, I just don't really necessarily see us cutting loose with $35,000, $40,000 to do another celebration, unless I missed my kind of read of it. I was kind of, I don't know what the right word is from last night, where it looked like instead of taking the whole ball of wax, maybe it was more palatable to people to break it down by categories, because in the end, you came back with very close to the same amount of money exactly that we would need to have in reserves to survive. It wasn't anything different or new, but it just kind of broke it down categorically. So I'm kind of wondering, and I think that part of our goal should be to look at not only revenue, but revenue recovery, and with some of the, hopefully, within a few months, tools that we have at our disposal with the other two structures and even this structure here, to generate programming that will bring in money. And I think that hopefully can be one thing that, and I have not had time to read the policies and procedures, and I know a lot of time has been spent on those, but that it hopefully is something that the costing is within reason, and that it is not hard for somebody to come into Lake Forest and book a facility. And you're nodding positive, which I appreciate, because that's one way to just scare the average person off who is already overwhelmed by the fact that maybe they're getting married or they're planning an event for a large group. And then if it becomes very, very difficult, they'll just kind of pick up and go somewhere else. So, but I look at not only the community center primarily and the sports park as sources of additional revenue for the city. And I think that's something we should present to them, that they're aware, and that we should look at it, all of us, the commission, staff, to try to come up with ideas and analyze the policies we have, that hopefully it will be something that the public will buy into. Because we're going to launch, I think, in a couple of months. I mean, is that a fair estimate that we should by that time be done with light fixtures and partitions and things like that?
That is, you know, I'll let Senior Recreation Supervisor Monique Villasenor respond to that.
Technically, we've already had like a soft opening, so we've already begun taking a few rentals that we can accommodate, and so it's already kind of coming in slowly but surely. But the demand is there, and people are very, the center is very well received by the public so far. So we've had a lot of tours and a lot of questions and inquiries, and we have a very strong interest list that we've begun going through already.
Okay. Are those policies somewhere on a website or something, just to kind of look at them and just?
Yes, so if you go to our website, the lfcommunityservices.com, and then you click on Community Center and the Performing Arts Center, each one has its individual page where you can look at our facility regulations and some photos of the different areas that you can rent and what we have available.
Okay,
So.
good.
And just perhaps a question for Commissioner Rosenberg. You may consider, after further discussion, including in any motion that is made, including a review of program fees in your goals. Correct,
when I said
okay.
sports
I had
park
trouble
and-
getting that out, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and thank you, and things like that, to look at those fees, because I think, and I'm a believer that there is an ethical responsibility not to, make civic programs a fine arts profit center, to be kind of blunt, but by the same token, I don't think we need to give it away. And I think some of the fees we charge are extremely low right now and need to be addressed. And part of that is that there are organizations that seem to be willing to pay them. They walk up and say, oh, that's so much, okay, I'll do it. And the organizations that typically don't and insist on it, I can give you from experience, chapter and verse that they're sitting with very large bank accounts. And, you know, for $5 a player, when you have 400,000 or 500,000 in the bank, yeah, you're doing something right on one end. So I think we should do that. The other thing related to finances, we do, and I'm just going to pick, Courtney, the Anchors Away dance, just to pick a program, okay? And there's a, call it admission fee, compared to the total expense, which I'm sure we can find in a budget document somewhere. Do we come close to breaking even?
No, we don't come close.
Okay.
Do you know what it was budgeted for that particular dance?
So we spent about $3,000 on the dance, and we had 89 people register. So $890
rounded
was correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe something to work on that,
Yeah.
or what? Yeah, I think I would want to make the point, we do need to be cognizant of the overall financial situation. And in some cases, maybe, yeah, that's a deal you make with the devil, but in other cases, you go a little bit more full court press towards revenue recovery.
I just have a quick question. So for this joint meeting, the format, do we, when somebody here, need to put together some sort of presentation? Are you guys coordinating that?
No, it's just an oral presentation. I believe there's one commission that already, the Traffic Commission, I think, is doing a PowerPoint.
Okay,
It's the same PowerPoint they
question.
gave 2 years ago.
okay.
I think they're asking for the same things that they asked for 2 years ago that they didn't get 2 years ago. We're not required to do that. It really is intended to be a brief, very straightforward presentation.
But I mean, is it something that we need to either decide upon tonight? Do we need to meet offline and decide what's going to be on the agenda, or what do you recommend?
So what we recommend is that the commission develop a consensus this evening on what the goals are.
Okay,
And there's no magic number of goals. You can have 2 goals, or you can have, 5 goals. I think the fewer, just my experience, the fewer goals that you have, the easier it is to accomplish those and explain those to the city council and define those.
okay.
And
Only
actually,
5 minutes.
something like asking to review program fees, I think is very powerful. I mean, it's really integral to what we do as a department. And also, revenue generation is something that I think the city council is really focused on.
Yeah, I agree with that part for sure. But I didn't know if we needed to put it into some, like a PowerPoint or something
No.
for that night. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind, I will
Unless
volunteer.
I was gonna say, unless you're dying to do one for us.
If you give me the specifics that we want to talk about.
If we're doing one, it would be due, I need to check on the date. So the 17th is the meeting. Typically, that agenda would be published next week.
Oh, that might be a little.
Give me a date.
If you can get it to me on Tuesday, that would be great.
So-
And that probably would be easy, because I think you can just do 1 slide per goal.
That's what I was.
Yeah, so it would be short.
Okay.
I think even the Traffic and Planning Commission, I think theirs is maybe seven slides.
Oh, yeah, no, this isn't.
Yeah, okay.
A major thing.
I know, that's what I figured you could. Okay, all right, okay.
I like the revenue.
The revenue, yeah.
Revenue recovery and the program fees, for sure. Totally agree with that.
How about if we did something like, hopefully that's not too broad brush, review all community services program with the intention of maximizing revenue recovery? Is that broad brush enough to kind of cover
It is,
everything?
yeah. And I'm thinking out loud, what we would likely do, instead of bombarding you with every program that we offer in one evening, we'd probably break it into
Yeah.
a couple of meetings.
Segments, yeah.
Yeah.
Possibly break it down, existing programs that are ongoing, and maybe the most popular ones, and then new programming or something.
We could do that. You know, the easier way to do it would be to group things by facility. So for example, we could talk about what we offer at the community center, which is just getting up and running. We can talk about programs that we offer at the clubhouse, and then we would talk about other things at the sports park and Etnies Skate Park. We could do those in the same night.
So community center, clubhouse, sports park, and Etnies.
Yes.
Do we want to throw the Performing Arts Center in there too?
We
That's
can,
new.
to be
That's
honest, the
kinda new.
fees, I wouldn't expect council to change any of the fees since we
Okay.
haven't really had an opportunity to see how they work yet.
Yeah, all right.
But we can certainly review, you know, what the services are and what we're offering the community.
I was going to make a comment.
Yes, please.
Back to the cost that was quoted. Typically, from my experience, the highest cost is your food costs. And that drives typically your cost model. Based on the number of people that you've asked for reservations for, then you determine from the caterer what your food serving size will be. Am I correct? And looking at how you would plan for that?
I would say yes. The food was definitely, because we served about 100 people total with the volunteers and the patrons that attended. Obviously, the caricature artist was something fun and extra, and then with it being in the new facility and my first one as well, I wanted to make sure that the expectations were there, because I definitely think with it being the first one, everyone was kind of like, well, what's it going to be? How's it going to look? So I really wanted to make sure it went smoothly and looked as beautiful as it could.
Which it
so.
did, because I thought the whole event was very well executed, particularly the detail that your department handled as far as the table settings, the theme, and I thought it was very creative, and certainly we want to continue that theme.
Courtney, the number that you came back with,
Like
is that, there's nothing in there that is, you know, we're amortizing the costs of the tables that we bought or things like that? It's just actual cash spent?
Correct.
Okay.
And then I can say as well, just for myself, everything was pretty much made. So a lot of cost savings in general of, you know, with the backdrops, the balloon things, the candy bar. So we definitely used a lot of DIY resources to save costs on that. But, you know, was still able to give a great product or visual product for everyone that attended.
What I was going to say is I can take kind of, I'm making notes, put it together in a presentation, and then just email it prior to the 10th, and you guys can comment, edit, and we'll finalize it and get it over to.
Madam Chair, if I may? Two points. One is, I would wait until we get to the end of the discussion and a motion is made specifically on the goals that you want to include. And the second is, I would discourage any member from emailing all the others, because that's technically a violation of the Brown Act. That would be a serial meeting. But we can facilitate that. If you send it to me, yeah, then we can send it out to everyone, and absolutely.
So my understanding is the goals should be broad enough to encompass what we hope to achieve for this coming year. I'm looking at the newer projects that are coming online, for example, the Nakasa Nursery Project, which is a huge project that would be involving recreational facilities. Do you see that as part of our goal model?
I don't think so,
Is
because
that outside the parameters of it?
I believe it is. So those,
Yeah.
those will be open to the public and maintained by the homeowners association. The city won't be programming those. Those are very small parks. I think it's 5 parks. I think that,
Mini parks?
yeah, there was, the largest would be the one with the soccer field and the dog park, but there isn't much for us
All right.
to program
Very good.
there.
Very good.
And one of them is even using, let's say the nature walkway. It's not the right term. They come
The
in-
water, yes,
So
yes.
can you provide a summary of what we have discussed so far so we can at least capture the key points?
Well, not really.
You'll be challenged, or just someone to kind of.
I was gonna write them out, but,
Could you please?
yeah,
give
I
us
have my
what you've got,
scribbles.
Because I know, I think.
Okay, goal number 1, I'm gonna kind of re-spit this out, and you guys can change it.
Perfect.
Requesting a role in reviewing approved revenue policies, program fees, and revenue recovery would be the first one.
And to shorten that, I would just say, I would just request a role in reviewing program fees and the revenue policies.
Okay?
If
that's
you're
fine.
interested in looking at the policies.
I would just say revenue, yeah.
And revenue policies, revenue
Policy.
revenue recovery? Slash policies.
Someone mentioned the 30-year anniversary, which I think is a great point that snuck up on me. I hadn't considered that. You can also request direction from the city council. If you don't want to request a specific budget, you can request direction and acknowledge that we may not spend as much as we did for the 25th, but perhaps the council could consider the level of celebration that they believe would be appropriate.
especially since we have the facility now,
Yeah.
right there.
So would that be a second goal then? Or-
It certainly can be, if that's
Okay.
the wish of the
So what do you
commission.
want to say on that one? Second goal, what would you want to say?
Direction from council regarding 30-year anniversary.
Okay.
30-year anniversary celebration,
Celebration.
right. So for the 25th anniversary, we had a year's worth of celebrations. It was special events. I think we put up banners. I believe that the budget, I think, was $30,000. We can do something less than that. It just really depends on the commission and the council.
We had some special things in the parade,
We did.
and I know we had cake.
Yep.
And then what about on the third goal, reviewing programs at the community center, the clubhouse, the sports park, and Etnies? Yes, no?
When you say review,
Um,
can we use a
different word,
Yeah,
kind of a more descriptive?
providing feedback,
analyze,
possibly? Huh?
analyze the program.
Analyze, I like analyze.
Those are,
And put an and, maybe analyze and something else.
those are all great words. So what we would usually do is we would look at the programs that we're offering, talk about why we offer the program, how long we've been offering it, the specific need that it's filling, and then we would probably talk about whether it continues to meet the need that we identified when we started the program.
So that's like, an analyze would be good then.
Yeah.
That's a very good,
Which would,
Analyze
and
programs.
maybe give an example, to include doing this, and that is
analyze, programs.
Sports park.
evaluate and whatever.
Analyze and evaluate.
Yeah, I was looking for another word, that's a good
got
one.
it.
Analyze and evaluate.
See, the more we talk, the more we,
Better we have.
you know.
Now, when you're stating a goal, you need some direction. When you're stating a goal, do you going to also state how we were going to implement that, or do we get in more detail, or just general goals?
Just a general goal, and these are things that staff would help facilitate.
All right,
Yeah.
Okay,
You're,
gotcha.
you're definitely on the right track so far. These are
Is 3
things that we
goals going to
can do.
be enough, or should we have more?
My opinion is that 3 is plenty.
All right. then
That's,
let's-
that can be a lot of
Let's
work,
cap
yeah.
it at 3 then.
We're good, then can we, do you want to make a motion to,
It would be
Well,
up to Commissioner to make a
Since you
motion.
have grasped the detail, can I ask you, would it be okay for you to make the motion now? Capture,
let me read these again.
Can I read what I've got so far and you guys
Oh,
can
sure.
tell
Sure,
me?
okay, sure.
sounds good.
I've got, goals are, recreation facilities at Nikasi.
No, we decided
No.
not to include that.
Okay. A role in reviewing revenue recovery. Direction from council for 30th year anniversary celebration and reviewing programs at the sports park, the clubhouse, community center, and performing arts.
No, we wanted
Okay,
to
I just
change
have
the
a little
second
bit,
review.
yeah, just,
Let her read them
Yeah.
off, and we'll.
Carol,
why don't
I'll
we-
read them again
Yeah,
for
read
you.
Okay, make sure you speak into your mic, thanks, because
All right,
can't
will
hear
do,
well.
sorry. Okay, the first one is requesting a role in reviewing approved program fees, revenue recovery / policies.
We're just revenue recovery policies.
Okay. That works. Mm-hmm. That's
the
number
first goal.
one. Number 2, direction from council regarding the 30-year city celebration, which I think you had. And then number 3 would be
30-year anniversary celebration.
30 years, oh yeah, anniversary celebration. And then number 3 would be analyze and evaluate programs at the community center, clubhouse, sports park, and Etnies,
Skate park.
yeah, skate park, sorry.
You can certainly say it that way, or if it's easier, you can just say you're going to conduct an audit of all community service programs. That way, nothing gets left out.
Okay,
And they understand, I believe they would understand that the purpose of that would be to look at those things that we talked about. Is it fulfilling the need that we thought it was fulfilling? Is it something that is still financially viable? Is it popular? Do people attend?
so audit of all community service-
Programs, right?
Okay.
Or analyze, audit or analyze.
So when you're presenting this, you're going to show the slide, but obviously you're going to provide detail with each goal and give an example.
Mhm.
I'm still presenting it, right?
Yes, you're presenting
Okay,
it.
so I want to make sure.
So you develop a narrative around each goal.
Maybe analyze and evaluate all community services programs, because then,
Analyze and evaluate,
yeah, sorry, I keep scratching too, Carol.
evaluate.
Do you recommend we have kind of a dry run a little bit here, rather than going in cold turkey?
3 goals.
I believe that Commissioner Herron can put together, it's up to you. I mean, I think you can put together the presentation. I can assist, but what you're talking about is 3 goals, and you have 5 to 7 minutes with a PowerPoint presentation.
If I go shorter, is that okay?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Well, wait a minute, how short are you thinking about here?
She's going to read the 3 and be done, so no, thank you very
No,
much.
no,
I think we,
No, well, okay, I should get on the mic again. We have to also save time for questions, because we're limited to a 15-minute total for our commission, correct?
Correct.
And we have 5 council members that will probably ask questions. So I'm thinking, we've got to have time for that. No, but I mean, please don't worry, Victor, I promise, I'll do it, I'll do as good a job as I can.
well, my thinking
Or
is
do you
that we have 15 minutes, right?
No, we have 5 to 7 minutes
Yeah,
for
I'm
the
gonna talk about it with
presentation.
comments, and
The
then-
total time for our commission is 15 minutes.
But you have to allow for questions.
Make that a
So,
goal.
yeah,
That's almost too
so I'm thinking ahead
picky, you
that
know.
our council members are going to have
Minutia.
questions. And I'm
'cause
reserving
that puts
time
them
for
under
that.
parks.
Well, actually, they reserve time for you. Okay, 5 to 7 minutes, I'm talking. The rest of the time, the rest of the 15 minutes, they're asking questions.
That's correct. And it's entirely possible they won't have questions. Can't
Could be.
say. But that's the best plan.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's good. Well, of course, we all have at our events, a lot of the city council show up, a lot of us also attend. So they already have a bird's eye view of what's going on, how we're all involved. We're giving it our best in regards to our programs that we have, our facilities that we have, our policies that we have. And I'm hoping city council realizes that we're all working hard on this stuff. And so we're just gonna, we'll be there to say, here, let's go, let's move forward and make it positive. How's that? Because that's how I roll. I miss positive. All right, so have we talked this thing to death?
I
or-
believe so. So it sounds like the commission would like to make a motion
I will.
for, okay.
Okay.
I will be a ventriloquist, and I will move my lips, and Commissioner Porter will read back what's been written down, but that is basically my motion.
Okay, number one, again, requesting a role in reviewing approved program fees, revenue recovery policies. 2 is getting direction from from council regarding the 30-year anniversary celebration. And number 3 is analyze and evaluate all community services programs.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Sorry, what? It's gonna turn into a goal, thank you for that. Okay, we're working on voting now, right? Okay, so we hit the vote button? No. This is predefined 5. Did I? Did we all get
everything.
that?
It's kind of frozen.
Yes.
There's a little, oh, yeah, there. We're voting? Well, not yet. Okay, I'm waiting for my all clear from Carol.
Let's do a voice.
Do a
Okay.
voice vote. So otherwise, a blind leading the blind.
Oh, aye, yes.
Aye.
It's okay.
Yes.
Yes.
She answers to everything.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna say that has unanimous approval. So thank you, everybody, for your, oh, I can turn this back on. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for all our goals, and thank you, Commissioner Porter, for stepping in. Gonna get that all pretty for us.
Can I assume that this event will be here in Chambers?
No. it's
Or
at
it was going to be
the,
at the clubhouse?
clubhouse.
This is at the club, this was my director's report. It's going to be at the clubhouse on the 17th. The meeting starts at 5:30 PM. It's 5:30 to 6:30, but dinner will be served at 5 o'clock.
So, oh, that'd be great. So we'll
Yeah.
show up early. It gives us an opportunity of mingling.
It does. So it'll be at the clubhouse on the 17th.
Okay. Oh,
Is the public invited to this event?
Yes, yeah, it's a regular meeting, so
It's
it's
a regular
noticed like a
meeting?
regular meeting. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's not really a regular meeting because the
Well,
regular
it's a-
meeting starts at 6:30,
it's
right?
a joint meeting.
It's,
Special meeting.
but it's a
Special
Brown Act meeting, so
Oh, it's a
it's
Brown
noticed,
Act.
yeah,
Oh,
to the
all right.
public, yeah.
Oh, I got you.
Okay. Any more questions on that? No? Okay. We're moving on to our recreation report. Is that on this side?
All right, it is on this side, and both of our managers are out today. One had a partial vacation day, one had a family emergency.
Oh.
So we have both of our, 2 of our 4 senior recreation supervisors. And I don't know which of you wants to start the report?
How about flip course?
Okay, we'll let Courtney Waisaki start the report.
Alphabetically, Courtney comes before Monique, okay?
All right, so for the senior activities, So as you guys know, we moved into the new clubhouse, and one of my personal goals was to get some more programs into the center. So as you can see with current activities, we expanded our emeritus classes with about 10 new classes at the new center. And as we're still going and seeing how things are working out, still looking to expand even more because we're noticing some holes of what else can be offered in the facility, which our numbers for emeritus classes have doubled in the month of January, as well as just overall exposure of all of the programs that we've had including our mini excursions, which in January we went to the Majeska Historical House, and it was completely full. And also to the point that we got positive feedback from everyone that attended that they already want to go back again. So it was well received. And even last night, for a calendar event, we went to the Last Man Standing TV show, which is on Fox TV with Tim Allen. We had about 38 attendees for that as well. And then also one of the other things that we've already doubled in numbers in is just our movies. Before we would get about 8 attendees, and now we're getting 20 plus. So it's just great overall with the exposure that we've gotten, especially in January for our first month in. And it's just continuing to grow every day.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I will move on to just going over briefly Snowfest that was held in January. I know some of you attended. It was another great Snowfest for the city. We changed it up a little bit, had a couple more vendors there, did things a little bit differently, but the public it was really well received by them, and everybody had a great time. We had about 3,600 people attend, and so Peachwood Park always seems to be very popular for special events. Going on, Kids Factory is doing well. Their numbers are still up, and so they're as compared to last year, they're still doing well and progressing. And other than that, all of our numbers for all of our classes and rentals are still going good, and we expect those to increase, obviously, with some new centers opening up soon. And then just wanted to go over briefly some upcoming events that we have, which is the Pet Expo on March 28th. So that's going to be a big one. They always seem to be bigger and better than ever, and so we'll have a lot of vendors there. You'll be able to adopt animals, have a couple demonstrations, so we hope that you guys attend that. And then Bunny Blast will be coming up in April. So and that's it. Bunny Blast will be on April 11th.
April 11th. Oh, the thing it's got right here.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna start on to the right. Anybody have any, oh, I gotta turn on my mic. Starting on the right, anybody have any, nope, nothing? Well, no, we're talking about the recreation report. No, we're good, okay. On the left, or I should say on my left, anybody have any comments for our recreation report, or?
I do.
Okay.
I'm very impressed with the participation in youth dance. I noticed the growth of that activity where you had upwards past 500 participants in December, and the same thing in January. What is it about that program that seems to be quite attractive? Is it based on the age bracket you're focused on, or is it, what factors do you think goes into that?
So since we moved into the sports park, it was one of really the only dance studios, dance rooms that Lake Forest didn't have a ton of dance studios on its own. So when we opened those, we contracted with a dance production company that offers recreation classes in numerous other cities as well. And she already has an established base. But on top of that, we didn't have a ton of dance studios here. And so since we opened, the number just continues to grow, and they have really great instructors. And so they get positive feedback and word of mouth. And so besides the facility being very nice, even when we open new dance studios, it gives the option of parents could take their kids to this dance studio and have the option to have a park outside as well. So it kind of gives you the best of both worlds, and the program itself has just continued to grow, so.
What kinds of dance? Is it more modern or folk, or is it Western?
It's basic. They do like princess ballet, they do jazz, tap, hip hop, anywhere from the ages of
Wow.
3 to, I think, the maximum age is 9, so.
Wow. Are you seeing more girls, boys, or kind of an even mixture?
It's mainly girls. They do
Yeah.
a lot of princess classes, and they incorporate fun little neat activities into them, so.
That's interesting. I'm glad to hear that activity is growing so popular, because in the past, we haven't had these type of activities with the participation that we're seeing.
Yeah.
Very good, thank you.
All right. Jim, do you have anything
Yeah.
for rec report?
This one is really more for our director. Is there any kind of a more current update on the Boys and Girls Club, since it now hopefully has some people in it?
Yes. So per the city council direction, we were asked to assess a fee of $5 per child. And the program began on January 6th in Portola Park. The first week, they had very few kids. The last I checked, they had 17 kids. So I know that we're invoicing them for 17 kids. They're actually permitted to have up to 50 kids in the program.
But as far as anything else, are they, keeping to the part of the agreement where they would use certain space and?
We've had to remind them a couple of times of certain areas that they've started to use that they don't have permission to use. So they signed a legal agreement with the city, and it's tied to an insurance and indemnity.
Right.
And that's part of the reason we restricted the areas of the park that they could use. The other reason is that we wanted to make sure that the park was still accessible and could be used by members of the public.
Right.
So by and large, they've been good about that. They've stuck to their area.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, how are we doing on our sponsorship program? The sponsorship program on page 2? Have we
Yes.
gotten any?
We have. We have
I'm sorry.
several applications in various phases of being processed, but we have folks that are interested. Some businesses within Lake Forest, some located outside of Lake Forest. So I don't have specifics to report yet because I think we're still developing those.
Okay, and then like, I thought I saw, so we have like a whole packet, is that correct?
That's correct. So the packet gives information on all of the different events, talks about the demographics that typically attend each event, and then the specific opportunities that may be available for each event.
I think that's wonderful. Yeah, it is really a good marketing program. Who put that together? All of you?
Mostly our analyst, Nicole Miller.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I'm happy to see that because I'm not a marketing guru and it's hard for me to ask for that kind of stuff. So I'm glad that you guys are doing that and not me.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and just trying to think, anything else we got going on here? Senior activities, I am continued to be blown away how busy everything is at our clubhouse, and that's a good thing. Because I just know that for the seniors, it's so important that they stay active, they have some friendship connection. I just know how important that is for their own longevity. You know, I've been to a lot of classes and workshops, that's what they talk about. So we're providing it, so congratulations. Okay, anybody else have anything for a rec report, comments, or? Nope, okay, well, we're gonna move on then. Director's report?
I don't have anything to add other than just repeating March 17th at the clubhouse, 5 o'clock for dinner, followed at 5:30 by the meeting. And I know that Chair Herron and I will work together on the presentation and also wait and see what we get from Commissioner Porter, and we'll put it together and get it going. I think you chose 3 really exceptional goals that I think will be
agree.
very well received.
I'm glad that you
I'm glad for everybody's input.
Just so everyone knows, it'll be in the multipurpose room.
That's more in the back, right? Oh, I'm sorry, no, I know where that is. I was thinking when we had our own little meeting back there. Okay, never mind. I'm with you. So, the multipurpose room, some people I heard are calling it the cafeteria.
Calling what?
They're calling it the cafeteria. Just to let you know.
You can call it whatever they want.
Oh, I know. I was a little taken aback until I figured out what the heck she was talking about.
Yeah, I think food is kind of important to some of them, and that's not so bad.
Apparently so. But I had not heard the term cafeteria before, so maybe, maybe we should have, I'm sure we have a sign that says multi-purpose room, right? Yeah, we must.
I do know all the rooms are labeled, so
Yeah.
I'll actually take a look tomorrow morning and see what it says. Yeah.
I'm sure it says that.
But it doesn't say cafeteria, I can assure you.
I know that, but I just thought that was interesting. Okay, so we are now on to commissioner comments. So, may I start to my right? Commissioner Porter?
Yeah. No, I just feel like this was a very productive meeting. We got a lot done. Happy about that. I love to see the numbers with the clubhouse growing, and I know December was kind of when we were moving, so I think the true tell will be the January to February numbers. Once we see that, it'll be interesting to kind of note on there, but I think you guys are doing a great job, and love to see all the oh my gosh, all the programs and the enrollment is pretty phenomenal. You guys are doing a great job there. Hopefully, some of my fellow commissioners will also join in the Mayor's Leadership Breakfast next Wednesday. Did you get an email on that? No?
You should have. So
Okay.
I'll double check with the clerk's office to make sure.
Okay. No, that's the state of the city. There's a breakfast meeting Wednesday morning.
Leadership breakfast, morning of the 11th at 7:30 over at the clubhouse.
And who's sponsoring it?
The city of Lake
City.
Forest.
I don't get an invitation to that. I don't recall seeing it.
I'll double check with the clerk's office and make sure everybody gets that.
Okay. I'm glad I mentioned it.
I'm so glad you did.
Okay. And then obviously the state of the city.
They know you don't get up that early, so.
We're a little sidetracked. And then also looking forward to Pet Expo, because I'm actually in town this year. Usually I'm out of town for soccer, so I'm really looking forward to the Pet
at the
Expo
community- at the,
coming up on the 28th.
senior center.
So I think it's going to be a busy March. For sure. You're welcome.
Okay, my apologies for the disruptive cough. I'm not, don't have the virus. I'm just having a sinus infections, and I'm not contagious. It's funny, I just moved the other day into a new house, and I was unpacking last night, and I came across magnets for this facility. And I remember they handed them out when the sports park opened, and the thing that's incredible, many things about Lake Forest are incredible, but I remember them saying that this is targeted to open late 2019, and it was so close to that. It opened pretty much. So it just reminded me, a simple thing like a bunch of magnets, which I really needed for the fridge because putting up the kids' pictures, that when the city says it's going to do something, it happens, and it's not just lip service. So hats off to everybody that was involved with this, and it's a really great facility. But just a reminder that when the city talks, it happens. It really does. So anyway.
We've got movers and shakers.
Yeah, so thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right. Commissioner Rosenberg, please.
Okay. Just starting with, and Carol has already talked, and I've talked to her about this couple of kind of admin things. We somehow need to do something with the packets, because if you hadn't sent me the PDF ones, I would have been without any, because I still, Commissioner Scher said he received his this afternoon.
You received yours when?
I wouldn't have
That-
had one either then.
I just wanted to say, I probably should have taken them to the post office directly. I think that might have sped things up, and I'll do that next time. It didn't, for some reason, I stuck them in the mail, and I shouldn't have. I should have taken them directly to the post office. I usually do.
I mean, I'm even willing, I live very close here, to come by and pick it up, like on Monday or something. Just-
I'm wondering also if it didn't have something to do with the post office was kind of overwhelmed with all the mail-in ballots.
But that's their issue. I mean,
Yeah.
it's-
But no, I will do better next month. Yeah.
And then the second thing, which we talked about, was the delay seemingly in getting, and I'm sure it's for everybody here, business cards. And I'm thinking, we've been here 60 days next week. You can go with, Vistaprint and get them from China with coronavirus,
Have they been ordered?
and I have no idea, but I guess Carol said they have been ordered, but there's God knows what.
Couple months, maybe?
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll start with Courtney. Anchors Away was amazing. That's, probably can add words to amazing, but it was really, really well done, and you almost felt like you could have another 100 people who could fit in that room, because you realize how big it is, when before at the Commerce Street address, that would have been full, and it was still really, really nice. One question that I had, I noticed kind of what I would call a lack of raffle prizes. Was that for any reason, or? I mean, they're normally like small things, but I know the folks look forward to them.
Sure. I think that was just something, a learning curve for myself, since that I didn't really know that was a thing.
Okay,
So I know for myself, for the next one, that we're actually planning for the end of May, that I will focus more on that.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's amazing that, again, in your defense, very honestly, we've done these events for decades. Is that a fair assumption? That there isn't like a book, this is how you do a senior program dinner dance. This is how you do these kind of things with, quote, an after-action report that people can learn from. But fantastic event, beautifully decorated, theme followed out. Followed up a couple of weeks ago by the Special Needs Valentine's Dance. And I'm going to say Kevin Fernandez, every time he puts something together, it's better than what he put on before. And I would love to institute or have some way that there be some kind of a program, just nothing big, but just for a little recognition, maybe quarterly or something, with a dinner, he and his fiance or somebody and their spouse or significant other could go, just for doing a good job. He came up with an ice cream bar that was contributed by volunteers. It wasn't something that he went out and bought the ice cream or did whatever, and it was a husband and wife team, and then we started talking, and suddenly the husband looked at me and he said, "Coach?" I said, what do you mean? He said, "My boys, you coached them 9 years ago, twin boys." Oh, okay, good. But that really added a lot to the evening, and for both of the events, we had a real good turnout from the Marine volunteers, which was great that we had them for the special needs, because when, on Saturday, everybody arrived, the room was set up for the 50 and plus lunch. So, if it was up to Kevin without Marine help, they'd still be moving tables, because the group that, a couple guys that he had helping him were not people who could move tables. I mean, they could move a joystick and other things, but no heavy lifting. But again, great event, and hopefully we can, talk a little bit further about something, just some recognition, maybe quarterly for employees within the department. Speaking about gentleman sitting next to me coughing and Commissioner Matzel who's coughing, coronavirus, okay? I had a discussion 3 nights ago with my wife's older daughter, who is a surgical nurse, and who basically told me that this is nothing to worry about, and people get the regular flu and it's much worse, and things like that. Unfortunately, I watch the news and read the paper, and as of this afternoon, the state of California declared an emergency regarding the coronavirus because of a couple of fatalities that happened. Do we have anything, this is kind of a question that is call it a mitigation policy. The reason I'm saying that, this is today a very litigious society, that if, God forbid, something happened and somebody's kid or relative was in a park and did whatever, that they come back as well, the germs in the park, and, you see all these things where people are going around disinfecting and spraying. And also, having looked at a couple of the recreation publications, there are cities now instituting some kind of plan to just have it in place. And I don't know if that has to come with and through the city attorney, or the department can do it in conjunction with Public Works, but I would like to suggest that the department look into it and maybe come up with something, because every indication is before it gets better, it's going to get worse, and the worst part is, quote, coming. So, not a fair thing.
It's a great suggestion. The city actually has a committee set up of directors in the city manager's office, and they're planning exactly that.
Good, okay, encouragement, that's great, being proactive on it. I guess normally I think I keep up with everything here, but I guess I'll ask my fellow commissioners, did any of you know about and/or attend the Nolan Arenado event?
I did.
How did you find out about it?
I was hanging out at the sports park.
Okay,
And
and you happened to be there, or?
no, I happened to be there that week, and someone said, "Are you going to be there Saturday?" And I said, "For what?"
Okay,
So it was, my understanding is it was very hush-hush. They didn't want any publicity, correct?
That is correct. This actually wasn't,
It was a fluke that I found out.
well, it
really
also, it
was a
wasn't a
fluke.
community services event. It was held at our facility. It was actually organized by the PIO's office. But there is some truth to that, where I think they only invited about 100 kids. They got signed baseballs, and I don't know how they made the decision on whom to invite.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right.
Because we were not invited.
Neither does anybody else know how they make decisions in that group, so, interesting. Had an opportunity last week to talk with Councilman Dwight Robinson just on a couple of different things. He kind of brought forth 3 things, and he also mentioned at the council meeting last night. One, for lack of anything better to give it a title, was to use people possibly who graduate from our leadership academy to serve as a, quote, park ambassador. And of course, you need a willingness, somebody who'd want to do it, maybe lives close to a specific park, and that would get that person maybe a little bit more involved. Maybe they would, we could divide, we have 30 parks, let's say in 4th, 7 parks, to give a short 3-minute, 2-minute public comment type report on a maybe quarterly basis about their park. And personally, I think it's a real good idea. It gets more people in the community involved, and it's more eyes and ears out there, because it's hard for staff to, be everywhere always. And if there's something that you had a park ambassador who has a little bit of interest in it, who sees that it's kind of an emergency, they could have a contact within the department and let that go. And I don't know if we need to agendize that or maybe for the next meeting or.
Yes, I'll actually be bringing something forward. If not for the next meeting, then probably the one after that.
Okay. All
So
right.
April or May.
Okay, cool. Then the other thing we talked about, and that was something that I had started thinking about in a little different vein after I found out about the Nolan Arenado thing, of creating some kind of a Hall of Fame for, and I think we'd have to develop some standards there for, either people in athletics or in the arts who started in Lake Forest. This is where it originated, and maybe at the high school level or something like that, or a club level, if they didn't play high school sports, but high school age. And I think that was something I would also like to propose. We maybe have a discussion on what kind of standards and what should we look at from that standpoint. And then, last but not least, but one of you asked, is there any vacant land left? I couldn't remember which one down the end. He brought this up last night, and yeah, it's been vacant and never been built on. The Normandale facility right back of the sports park, across the street from Regency Park, has been sitting there. It's about 13 acres of gradable nightmare, to be honest, but that's still vacant land, so possibly somebody. I'm sorry? Well, it's being used as BMX park by people who pop the gate and other things, but I think from the last time it was looked at, the grading itself was like $10 million or something, so it went back to the back burner. What else here? Okay, a couple of real quick questions. Courtney, I'm glad you're here because you can answer that. At the last Senior Advisory Board meeting, one of the two newer members made some kind of a comment or suggested looking at a holiday toy drive. Typically, the city adopted our Marine Battalion, and the Marine Battalion also supports seniors. The problem at the other building was one of logistics, because the, quote, senior center was that for X number of hours a day, and then could be something else in that same room, but we have that building, and I think that's a fair in return for them coming to the events and supporting those events, and that we could look at that at the holiday season. We put the collection boxes in, and it's really easy access to people now. They come to that place to do that. And then the other question I have for you, in the programming, is there any thought given to music from the standpoint of piano instruments, that type of thing?
It's something I can ask Emeritus if they offer programs like that. I know generally for the classes through Emeritus, they're free or low cost. So it's something that I can see if they have anything, maybe for when the fall starts up. It's definitely a possibility.
Is there anything in the Emeritus? Because I looked in there and I didn't really.
I don't recall, even when I had gone through the books when I first started to see what was even offered, and Karen had given me feedback of, other classes prior to when I had started of what was really popular.
Yeah.
So I would just send them emails of, these are the types of classes that possibly would be interested in, or I would think maybe the 15 better population would like. I don't think I remember seeing music classes, but that doesn't mean it's not a possibility.
Yeah,
So,
no, I mean,
yeah.
something maybe to start talking about and just look at options, what's
Sure.
available, because from what I saw, I didn't see anything that showed we offered it in any way, shape, or form, and that's another thing that people generally, and maybe even some of the younger, and attracting that younger element into the center
Sure.
might be a thing that, before everyone said piano, their fingers are arthritic or whatever, that could be something, so I'll look forward to talking to you about that.
Okay, excuse me, Jim and Courtney. My neighbor had taken a choral class through IBC or Saddleback, I'm not sure which. I'm not sure if it was an actual emeritus class, but it was a choral program and they did perform. And the gentleman that was in charge of this choral group, even though they did a Christmas program, was very particular on which songs he was going to do. He was not going to do the popular Christmas songs. He was going to do different songs. So there you go. It's my 2 cents on.
The marketeer, obviously, okay. All right, thank you.
Well, my comments will be brief because I did mention about the event, which I thought went very well on the aquatic theme. I like that idea of theme-driven activities. I think it's terrific. And continue with that. Yes, Majeska is quite a place. I just completed a year program, so I'm qualified as a docent there now. So I conduct tours once a month. Usually tours are done on Wednesday and Saturday. So on the Wednesday is the day that I typically do it, the first Wednesday of the month. But are you thinking about scheduling another Majeska tour in the future?
Yes, I do think it was towards the end of the end of the year. I know.
Oh, towards the end of the calendar year.
Correct.
Very good, very good.
Some of the patrons mentioned grant funding currently at that facility, so they wanted to come back once some of the renovations had been completed.
For what it's worth, I would consider the fact of the weather, because during the December time, the weather gets pretty adverse, cold and somewhat rainy. Is there a reason you want to choose the end of the year, or?
I want to say it was maybe in October that I saw it. Again, we only plan within a 3-month span, so
I
it's
see.
more so they're just really looking forward into the future with the coordinators that plan it. But that's definitely a suggestion I can
Yeah, I
provide
would
back.
highly recommend, if you are going to do a Majestic tour, you want to do it to the warmer
Sure.
summer,
Okay.
that type of thing, and particularly with seniors. So it just says, for what it's worth on that. Other than that, I'm excited about the future. There's a lot of stuff going on, right? A lot of activities, boy, I'll tell you. It's really an exciting time with the new Civic Center and the facilities. It never stops. So I do thank the staff for all their hard work. I know you put in a lot of hours, so again, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. My turn. So in regards to, I'm going to call it Super Tuesday, whatever. I was glad to see that both our community center and our sports park were part of our voting centers. My son and I went on Sunday to this one here, and it was great. Piece of cake. So, Foothill Ranch, yeah. And I was just glad to see that we were part of that. Yeah, oh, I'm sure. Okay. So I too went to the Anchors Away dance, and of course I'm just going to chime right in. It was fantastic, and thank you for accommodating everyone. You were sold out, which I think is wonderful. Anyway, and of course our DJ, don't get me wrong, staff does a phenomenal job, but our DJ does too. He always seems to go above and beyond, so I'm glad we continue to use him. I was approached by some residents in regards to our clubhouse hours, because we're open, from 10 till 3?
4.
Oh, 10 till 4, thank you. They're like, why aren't we open at 9? I don't know. And I thought, well, it must be a staffing, financial.
Yes to
Yeah.
both.
That's what I figured.
One of the problems we have, what we've been telling them essentially is we open at 10. If you choose to arrive at 8 o'clock, then we can't open the doors. You may be sitting for a while.
Right, I understand that, yeah. Okay, but this particular person said to me, well, if you check with our neighboring cities and their senior facilities, they open at 9. So I'm just passing that information along, as I was asked to do. I also attended the Valentine Bunko, which was so much fun. And you know what I was glad to see? I mean, I always have fun, no matter what, because you guys do a great job. Some of our younger seniors were there. And part of that, I had the pleasure of speaking to this one couple, and the gentleman had just retired. And he was when you first retire, you're a little lost as to what the heck you're going to do. And he found the ping pong group. And he is just so pleased because he's learning new techniques, rules, and that has led for him, that's why he and his wife came to the Bunko. So I think that's really good, that we are attracting, is there a special term for younger seniors? Boomers. Oh, they're boomers. Okay, we're getting those boomers coming in. Boomers, yeah, I think I'm a boomer too. Oh, Bunko is, it's a game played with dice. It's usually tables of 4 people, and there are 6 rounds. There's 3 dice on the table, and first round, everybody tries to roll once. So if you get 1, when you roll, let's say you get some ones, that's how many points you get. And your teammate is the person sitting across from you. And the game progresses, and it goes to 21, and that's done. They have a head table. And when they reach 21 points, then that round is over, and then the winners, how does it go? Winners wander, losers linger. So that way you're always changing partners, you're changing table, and it's a nice way to interact with new people that you haven't met before, and it's very easy and it's a lot of fun. So there, now, I'm sorry, everybody's heard now my Bunko explanation. Right, and they give of course, prizes are wonderful. They also have snacks and all kinds of stuff. But their prizes are winners, losers, most Bunkos. So there you go. Anyway, next time you should go. I go. Okay. In regards to Nolan, I'm sorry that was a fluke that I found out, but I'm glad I did, and it was really just a fluke. But it was nice that I met him and his family. Let's just say that. It was very nice that it was, like I said. Okay, in regards to the, our wonderful coronavirus, CPRS, I was notified that that's our big conference coming up next week in Long Beach. They are taking extra steps. They are actually handing out those little sanitizers with every packet, I guess. All the registrars, whatever. So, and then Jim Dwight also talked to me about the Hall of Fame. So I'm glad you brought that up. And so we talked about athletes, artists, and musicians. It's a good place to start. So anyway, that's that. Could we have, I asked for trash cans, and we got those. Could we please have Kleenex at everybody's spot? Is that something that you would take care of, or do I need to ask? I could, go up. Yeah, I just think that would be a good thing, because, anyway, so if we get Kleenex. Did we ever get new cards since we became Community Services Commission?
The business cards are moving a bit slowly.
Okay.
And I did order them in January. I'm just, I will double check, or Scott will double check.
Okay, well, thank you for
Yeah.
that. I was kind of wondering, because I think Jim and I are attending conference, correct, Jim? Are you going? Okay. And Scott, I want to brag about Scott. I'm not sure he's too thrilled yet about it, but I talked him into this.
He always looks happy.
I know, but anyway, the California Association of Park and Recreation Commissioners and Board Members will be hosting 3 sessions at the conference next week. Meetings, bloody meetings. It's a simulation of commission meetings, and you can imagine how that's going. That will be entertaining.
because we're going to have every imaginable thing that could happen, good or bad. It's like a mock meeting, and I get to be a commissioner in it, and I have my script. So yes, it will be a very interesting session. It's next week. Our sessions are Thursday, March 12th. So there you go.
So, yeah.
Well, no, I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that.
So Loretta, basically, when they say, I'm not a doctor, but I play on TV, you're a commissioner, and then you're playing a commissioner.
I will be playing a commissioner, I know, but it won't be on TV, though. Okay, and then another session that I'm going to call them California Commissioners are doing is, we built a playground power of partnership that will be done with our Mammoth commissioners and director, I believe, so that'll be interesting. And Scott and we're going to be doing this one, Play Nice. It's called Staff and Elected or Appointed Officials, and it's a round table. The attendees of the conference asked us to do a round table to answer questions and just have a good conversation, because things pop up that they may not have anybody to talk about it to. You know, like director, well, like, no offense, I'm sure you do this, but maybe directors in the north might not know who to call on in regards to questions. They may not have a good relationship like I know Scott does with other directors. And the same thing with commissioners. That's what we actually have our California commissioners, because it's a good group to share information and ask questions. So that's what this roundtable will be about. And whoever wants to ask questions. That one is Thursday, March the 12th. And I'll even tell you, we're in room 102C. And this, I didn't know this part, 4:15 to 5:30. Sorry about that. Okay, so, but anyways, Scott graciously volunteered to do this.
I am looking forward to it.
Yeah, but I figured we could handle a round table. We can handle a round table, because he has a lot of knowledge. I have a little bit of knowledge. But anyway, so I'm anxious about CPRS, and I will do my best to come back with new ideas. Does anybody have anything you want me to look out or check for? Well, you're going. What about you ladies? Oh, you're gonna. I know. Oh, yeah, okay, all right.
Are you going to show up to the round table and ask really challenging questions?
You could. You could. Because you could just baffle us, you know? Well, and then make us look. Anyway, anybody else have anything you want me to check out well, Jim's going, but, because they have a big expo, I'll check playground equipment, I'll check out anything and everything, because they always grab at you, because they want to talk to you about turf and who knows. This is the California Park and Rec Conference in Long Beach. It's at the Long Beach Convention Center.
Has it already been years since you went to the one in Pennsylvania? Is this the same?
Oh, no, the one that I went to in Baltimore,
Baltimore.
that was the national one.
Oh,
So that's,
California.
this is the California one. And sometimes we get people from out of state as well. You just never know who's going to show up. You know, so I will be on the lookout for new and wonderful things to bring back. So if there's nothing else, yes, yes, Victor.
There's a St. Patrick's Day event coming up on the 12th of March. Were you thinking of making that a reservation event, even though it was not presented as one?
It is. It was in the Leisure Times and also in the Clubhouse calendar.
So it is, what is the code on that?
Oh, have to look it up.
Good question. I can let you know in a couple minutes.
Can you
She knows
email me the code?
I can do that.
So I can
Yes.
register for it. I didn't realize the registration was already released for that.
Yes.
So, okay. Last call, anything else? We're good? All right, so I think we're adjourned. Do I need anything else? Somebody tell me? No, we're good? Ooh, I'm gonna bang my gavel. Thank you, everyone.
Just, does everybody know there's a senior advisory board meeting next Wednesday? Okay, I just wanted to let you know.
10 o'clock.